Day 11, is it? Is it the 11th?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is the 11th.
Day 11 of 2025. The year that everything changed.
Gradually.
Very gradually for us. So incrementally gradual that we can hardly detect it. And we're right up against it. We're like, the ants right at the front edge of molecular change. It's like, nope, can't spot any change yet. So anybody watching is going to spot it. Okay, so today we went off, we drove 2 hours, 2.5, there, back to Bristol. We met Diana Finch.
Yes.
She's written a book about money, and she wrote her experiences about Bristol Pound, about a decade, maybe 12 years of, maybe 14 years of committed action. Okay, and so we decided we need to meet in person, and most people think, wow, driving 2 hours, that's not that much. But she can appreciate it because she doesn't want to drive. She likes to cycle about places. She uses public transport. For us to drive to meet her, it's something to her. That was quite nice, yeah.
It was.
And so it was good, but I'm slightly concerned, Julie, that it was just another chat.
Yes, before you start on that, we also valued driving to meet her. I think it's fair to say. She valued us being there, we valued going there.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously a significant player in the Bristol Pound attempt, and the frankness of its failure in her book. Well, not its failure, but the failure for the system to adopt it and change and experiment with it. She wrote a book. She tried to move that forwards, and now she's working again. And it's just very difficult to get any change. But that path that she's taken is an example of the changemaker's path.
So lots of bid writing, lots of trying to get grants and funding, lots of not getting that and spending a lot of time on it. Engaging people, but then not really getting any results.
Not institutionally, mostly. Meeting people that are nice in the institution at various forms, but then working out, wait a minute, we need to speak with the top dogs, okay, and then we talk to them and they're not quite into it because basically they're restricted. The reason why they're there is to make sure that that structure that they've been employed to maintain is maintained. So we started off the conversation with that, but I was wanting to see if we could change the conversation, the framework around the conversation. She still thinks, Diana still thinks that if you speak to the people, then they're going to sort of see the value of it. Through reasoning, they change their minds or something, or they create an opportunity.
Yeah, I think through reasoning they change their minds and kind of just do their little bit, really.
And that's supported by the notion that if we all do our little bit, then system change occurs, which is true. But it's what little bit in concert, and it's about using organize ourselves so that we're dancing to the same music. At some time we're all dancing tango or salsa or rock and roll or whatever it is, waltzes, whatever it is. The few of us that are actively engaged, committed, kind of playing the same kind of game enough to be able to generate revenue, basically, as far as I'm concerned. But not in the traditional way. Once we get the money, what do we do with it? That's the thing. So, the reason why we're recording this is not just to describe that, but it's reflecting on it because we failed. We failed to, as usual, enjoy the old failure. We're meant to be, really kind of come together with the relationship about, okay, so what are we doing, how are we doing it, and anybody we engage, we transform. Okay, the system around the conversation, the money flow afterwards, subsequently, the recording, everything is just different. But we didn't do that, did we?
No. We didn't have a recording. We didn't reframe it from the start as such, although we
Tried
met
a little.
with kind of, honesty and goodness and good intention, all those, and trust relationship and all
We
those
didn't talk
things.
about that, did we?
We didn't talk about it, but we didn't talk about it explicitly,
No.
but I think,
Oh, she's got that.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, she demonstrated
yeah.
All right.
I think
That's good to
definitely
assume that. We tried to do a little bit of reframing about, what's the point of coming together and engaging? Whether it happens to be a person in the council or us around a table, we're just not quite together. And I didn't pursue that enough. And I think we should have landed that one. Because I don't feel we connected as well as we could have and what was needed.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was meeting someone who has been active in their life and is at a point in their life where they are going back to work and being with family quite a lot recently, and they are kind of, I don't know how to say it, but they don't seem to be pursuing anything particularly new in their life at the moment, but they are still pursuing the book they've written and the speeches they give and the engagements they have. And I think in terms of our engagement, we reflected a little bit when we drove back on how could we kind of make it more of a transformatory engagement, not just a nice chat, which it was. It was a good chat with a nice person. Yeah. So, but we've had a lot of good or decent chats with nice people.
We haven't
A lot of people.
We haven't talked to change makers. We've only taken part in a few change maker groups. Relatively.
Yeah.
Which, singing and dancing, and people feeling kind of good about whatever it is that they're trying to feel good about. Because everybody's basically separated and isolated. They meet online every so often. But so that's why for us to go there, we've already spoken to Diana. And I thought there was great potential there. And I don't think we realised it. And I put that down to myself. I didn't quite realise the significance of the moment. That that's possibly the last time we ever engage. And I think we need to do that. AI is coming, and the level of chat and the communication, the word game is going to get so much trickier. So it's really, really important that we engage as humans. And we did, because I like the idea of eating together. I like when she said, lunch. I go, okay, I like the idea of that.
It was nice because it was shared and it was tapas, so it was really nice to share that, and we could all have something we liked and we could all share each other's plates, and that was really nice. It was a very kind of communal, I thought it was very kind of communal, coming together.
That's what I like.
Sharing together, feeling.
But ultimately, we're just paying for some food, then we just put it off. So we're not actually changing that game.
No, and becomes a little bit distracting at times from what you're actually talking about, because you've only got a certain amount of time to talk. And I think there's something about going forwards with the awareness and probably bringing that awareness to other people about how time is, I think time's precious, it's an adage, but it's just time is important globally, as well as the time that we have ourselves, and to use that with intention and purpose. And if we're not, to ask the question why we're not.
And you didn't, and I didn't.
No.
Because we went into the depth of the numbers, the basic articulation of how does a number fit our engagement. And I thought, okay, do you want to go into that level? And she was like, yeah, okay, so here we go. And then it popped back into, it's just kind of chat about how things work and, people and words and nice aspects of the complex system, but not the fundamental. It just popped up from the fundamental so easily. And so I basically kept on going on about the fundamental. And that's not quite where she was. She is even. And that was the wrong thing, I suspect, for me.
Yeah, I think she's a good listener. She did a lot of listening. And I think her reflections tended to go back at times to organisations like the council. And I think then she was not pushing forwards, but suggesting sort of meeting with a group of kind of thinkers, basically.
Yeah.
People taking action, which may be another indication of where she's at the moment, just because she's gone back to work and
Yeah.
she's had the family thing and just, experiences of things not working with what she committed a lot of her life to and other people committed time to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. All the people talking at that meeting will be, very valuable people. But without the money flow, some of them are presumably making money from some sources. And maybe it's for what it is they're talking about. Maybe not. Some of them might be academics, so they're managing to study things and talk about them. But they're getting paid by, university, by an organisation. And I always find that odd amongst change makers. Some are getting money for whatever it is, and other ones aren't. And that's not part of the agenda when people gather together. And of course that is when you're in a company. You're not paid by the company, so you're all having a chat about it.
To produce something.
Yeah.
That fits in with the company.
Yeah. And if we're change makers, I think we need to have money flow to enable us to do the things that we would like to get done. And it seems that the ways that most people are thinking about how that works is incredibly complicated. So I know that the thing that I'm trying to present is so simple, and I was trying to go for the fundamental. And I did explain it, I guess, or share how it plugs together. But there was a new aspect to it, and I tried to reframe it a bit. So that was quite nice for me, just a new kind of slightly different angle to it, which is valuable. Because we're talking about values. We started with that rather than vector money. Had you heard of that? Me yapping about that? Values? Fractional amount?
Not the fractional amount too much, but about values just,
Well, values, but the number, actually, literally the value of values. The number of value. Well, the bit that was unusual for me, which I haven't reminded myself of, I guess, is if somebody gives ones and twos all the time and then gives a 3, that's unusual, because that's unusual. That should be factored in to the distribution of the values. It's not just a straight ratio as we currently have. So, if anybody wanted to pursue it further, that's the direction I go in, right? But anyway, but there's something about the comparison of a person who is definitely committed to change. All right, very strong person. She's a strong person, but she was quite respectful in her strength, I thought. But she has the kind of tendency to go, okay, and, start dealing with the bill, start dealing with the menu. Okay, and she definitely is a leader. Actually, she kind of leads on things. She kind of jumps in and starts doing things. Is that right? Is that an impression?
Yeah, I think very proactive.
Takes responsibility for the group.
Yeah, I think just proactive, assertive, has dealt with things before, so has the confidence to deal with them.
No, I think it's her nature.
Right. Okay.
That's why she's done what she's done. It's because she's got this she's got something that kind of makes her kind of go forwards.
Right. Okay.
It's just socially. I wouldn't be surprised if she was like she was a kid. Adolescent. Yeah. No.
Maybe.
Okay. Anyway, but the point is, and she's got the capacity to talk in front of people.
Yes.
All right, which neither of us are fantastic good at it, and we're not that interested in it. But we do it in front of kids.
Yeah, doing it in front of hundreds of students.
Hundreds of students. Okay, you're more used to it than me for sure, right? But anyway, so here's a person that has devoted themselves. So if we just think about people as just being equals, we just say, okay, if my life had gone in a certain direction, or if my personality was slightly different and had gone there, that's the kind of person. Oh, it's like a version of us. Everybody's just different. And I just have to be one example of us. That's the way I like to think about things. So I don't have to live what she's lived, because she's lived.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's just rationally, we're all part of humanity, and we've all got our own kind of story, we've all got our own narrative.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. And so when I meet people, I don't need to know their narrative or be their narrative or argue about it. It's true. What they've done has been the best that they could do.
Yes, which ties into your idea of high trust and that kind of unquestionable aspect.
Absolutely unquestionable that she's doing whatever it is that she thinks is right in her life. Absolutely without a shadow of doubt. And she's trying to manage that with the whole world.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she's been active about doing that for 10 years. With organisations! oh, holy. And that's just the recent bit. I mean, whatever she was doing before, you know, she revealed that she was thinking about things quite before the crash in 2008. But she was kind of more active in this way, in this direction from 2008. So, I just feel like if we are serious about, you know, certain kinds of change, then we need to group together and engage a lot better. You know, if we were like generals about to go into war, and you have your bunch of cohort, whatever, your cavalry, and I've got the shock troops, okay, the ones that are going to get decimated at the front line, yeah, and Diana's got the kind of, you know, the vets, you know, they've been through stuff and they know what they're doing. Okay, great. And we need to organise ourselves so we know what we're doing so this thing doesn't fall flat on its face if it was a military operation. And we've got like a couple of hours before we separate and we give our last orders and these people go to war and die. Yeah? And it'd be really nice if we kind of understood that's the level we're playing at. We need to get this right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the level of seriousness and the level of importance, the level of, would you say commitment or level of urgency, I guess?
Yeah, the whole thing. Okay, so it's not a battlefield, but there's kind of like a thing going on. It's immediate, it's happening like now, and the people dying, oh, they're on other continents mostly. But the environment's definitely deteriorating. So it's not really the enemy, it's just that we're not quite getting ourselves together in the face of the challenge that we're facing. So, and I kind of forget or something. We should have maybe thought about it a little bit more on the drive or something. Got a bit cloggy head, I'll blame it on that, or kind of think about games and stuff.
When we were talking,
I can't quite bring myself to it.
You did mention when we were talking about, you know, the world continues to burn.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I guess it's just kind of tying that in with almost like the moment is now, the time is now, and we've got this time together.
The LA have just had this massive fire. That is, some of these people have got the most money on the planet. You know, their luxury houses will just be burnt down. You know, Mel Gibson's just going, his house is like it's in Dresden. It's been carpet bombed as if it was in Dresden. It looks like Dresden. And it's like, okay. And he's producing the film for the follow-on film for Passion of the Christ. Which he says is an acid trip. That's how he describes it. You're like,
he has become a bit more outspoken, a bit more controversial, just in his, well, potentially what's reported is his personal life, but then also in his professional life, it seems.
Yeah. He's definitely an
maverick.
Independent. He's a maverick, all right? And so there he is producing the second film, Passion for the Christ, okay? Calling it an acid trip. So who knows, you know, what is he going to follow with? Because I think in the first one, the guy dies, yeah.
The first one is quite, but it's done in a certain way I think it's done in a certain way that's forerunners of that kind of story.
Yes, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I watched it zapped. I watched it peached. What an absolute ridiculous thing to do. I mean, it was mad. It was like torture. It was like torture. It was torture. But no. If you're being sensitive, if you're like, okay, I'm going to get a little bit peached. I'm going to watch this thing. Oh my God. It was absolutely horrific.
Really?
What?
Well, how did that manifest itself in the horror of it?
You're sitting there just going, oh my God. The Passion of the Christ means the absolute pain.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That you went through. That part of it. Okay, so it's obviously existential pain, which nobody even really talks about, but the actual physical thing, and at the end of it, he's going, you know, they don't understand what they're doing. And you're forgiving these people that are doing these crazy, horrible things. And I remember there was the cat o' nine tails, which I don't know if they had back then. You know, strips of leather and a bit of metal in there. Let's flail this person. And he's like, okay, and so it was torture. He was. That's what he was showing. He was just showing.
He was, yeah.
Right. We're not talking about, oh Christ, oh da da da. He's like, okay, there's a person kind of like this going through that, and at the end of it, they go, right, they don't know what they're doing. No, for any human being, I don't care who it is, to have that amount of like, and then to go, it's, you know, and forgive them kind of scenario. It's just like, that's just bonkers, that's. Anyway, so it was torture. Torture for them. And if you're watching it in any kind of reflexive sense, in any kind of like, you know, compassionate way, it's just like, unbelievable. Relentless, absolutely relentless. That's all I
most of
remember.
the other films of it are quite gentle. Yes, in quite a nice way and quite
Who's
clean
this nice
way.
person? Yes.
Even like the crucifixion scenes aren't done in a kind of, you know, you might say nailing of the cross, but it's not done in a.
Oh,
It's not done in a horrendous
it was
way. I think
excruciating.
even Hollywood, there's a Hollywood version that's quite, you know, apart from the crosses going up and the pinning of the cross, there's not much pain and suffering. It's just, you know, it's
You just went for that,
nice,
and you're just like,
yeah.
that is an incredible vision. Just to go, that's what we're going to show. Do it, okay, and then to actually be, you know, relatively successful in various ways, because he's just going, just look at this. Okay, forget about religiousness and anything. Just look at this. Okay, this is the kind of society. Okay, people were doing things all like this.
I think some of these other films that have that, you know, idea of persecution or suffering or pain or, you know, how man treats man kind of thing. People treat people.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of those other films. Have you seen those other films? Like what, Julian? Oh, I want to ask that. She's hiding already. Okay. Anyway, so there he is. So he's doing the next one. He calls it an acid trip. So I remember, this is Christ. Okay, he's dead. Okay, so he's come back. Maybe, I suppose, second part, and then he's engaging people. I can't even remember what happens with Jesus when he comes back. What does he do?
That's right.
What does he do?
So it's the Easter story, I guess. Put in the tomb.
Yeah. That's all happened.
Yeah.
Then what
And
happens?
then Mary Magdalene.
Okay. It's not going to be about, you know, people. Oh, look, the tombs. Well, what's the bit? What is he going to show? What's the actual thing that happens after he pops out? He's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I guess it will be the reincarnation. Reincarnation, is it? Reincarnation.
No, it's not reincarnation.
What is it? Resurrection. That's the
Resurrection.
one. Resurrection.
Oh, sorry. Bro.
Resurrection. Not Catholic. But
Oh,
you know,
right. Oh, really?
from Catholic.
Oh, right. From Catholic, yeah.
Yeah, resurrection, and then the idea of eternal life.
Where's the cross? The cross is gone. Why?
Packed away.
Packed away. Oh, are you taking the cross with you?
Yeah.
Do you see? Okay, so what happens then? Resurrection. I can't remember. What happens?
The idea of eternal life.
No. What happens? What does the guy do? He comes back and goes, oh, hello, and everybody goes, oh my God! And then what happens? What happens?
Yeah, people don't believe it, do
Right.
they? And then they
I don't know.
experience it. Yeah, I vaguely remember there's a garden, people seeing and they don't recognise, and they do, and they kind of. Then discipleship starts, doesn't it?
Only then. I thought the meal and all that beforehand.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the garden happened, all that beforehand. That's when he got, you know, Judas was, you know, named tagged, oh, they're in the garden, and then they grabbed him and flail him to the air, stick on a cross. Right? Right.
But he revisits someone in a garden.
Okay.
Guess what? And they think he's a gardener, he's not, and then he reveals he's him, and he's like, oh my gosh, we've all seen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Wow. Right. Well, there we go. That's the right. So hopefully, Mr. Gibson
It's the story,
is
isn't
good.
it?
Yeah. What happens? Where he says, "Oh, okay," and then says goodbye. It was just like
Well,
a
he gets
brief
up-
interlude.
Going up into heaven is then, isn't it? After that, going up into heaven, sitting at the right hand side of God, being with his Father, all of that. So it might be that kind of whole celestial kind of
Jesus.
celestial story.
So it might go into that.
Yes.
It might go into the actual experience of being there too.
Relationship.
Might be that whole, you know, just like mad crap of him, you know, closing his eyes, you know, dying, and then going into a mad acid trip kind of experiences, and he's actually like survived the darkness and weird things and God knows what, and then somehow stumbling out and wandering about. Who knows? Who knows how he's going to take
And
this?
before, it's been done in a very gentle, kind of clean
Of
way.
course. Holy.
Whereas this may be done in a more gritty, kind
Well.
of barbaric, kind of, you know, bleeding
No.
wounds, and
Oh, maybe.
that's called something, isn't it, in Catholicism?
Ah, yes.
You get the bleeding wounds of the
Yes,
Christ. I can't remember what it's called.
that's okay. I don't know.
Yes.
So, the point is, he calls it an acid trip. So if you call it an acid trip, it's like, it's going to be otherworldly in some sense. But no, acid trip is the
quite a
fact that
ride.
it's actually sensory. It is
Multisensory.
multi-sensory. So I suspect he might be, because I suspect he has taken a couple of drugs in his life. And anyway, interesting that there's a person about to do something about the basic narrative for Western society.
Mm-hmm.
And he presented one part a few years ago. Now he's presenting a second one. And he's still living in this world of craziness. And his house is burned down. And the environmental degradation, everything else. And he's awake to that. Because he did Mad Max, yeah? It was all about, post-apocalyptic.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay, so that was how he began. And so there he is toward the end of his life. Still got fire. Quite a reasonable amount of fire.
Yes, yeah.
Fire. And his house is burning down. And you're like, okay, and he's obviously, Catholic, or he's Christian, or he's got some kind of insight.
I'm sure I read where he's brought up as Catholic. I don't know if he's a Catholic anymore. But
he's got some insight into the religious
got
and
some
spiritual
faith.
experience as well. And and he's had a very interesting life. As a shining light, as a luminary.
Yeah, he's tried to push boundaries. Like he said, was a maverick, tries to push boundaries of some sort.
He said some crazy things. He said some. I think he's been a little bit
Inappropriate.
Well,
At
he's
times to certain groups.
yes. What is that?
Whether people
Jews, maybe Muslims, maybe gay.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. He's been outspoken a couple of times. And so anyway, here he is about to give a second, thing of the basic narrative of the underlying narrative of massive engine for social madness, all right, in society for hundreds of years, And there he is. Okay, right, here's the second part. And we're just going to go and see this film. And it just seems such a waste.
Of time, money, energy.
All of it. If we don't quite communicate well.
For him? Or
For us,
everybody?
all of us. It's like, I found, it's like when I watched the Tron film when I was a kid. 25 years later, there's a new one coming out. I thought, okay, right, I want to speak to the
I've seen
director.
that.
I wanted to speak to the director. Okay, friends, guys, why don't we go over there? Because we've got this game which could really transform how they're doing open source, blah, 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 blah. And they just weren't up for it, so I didn't go. And they produced basically a cack-handed version to it. Okay, because they're just following the same plot line without taking into consideration that a child watched this and now they're going to be an adult. Okay.
Perspective.
Yes. And instead it's just another. They kind of do fit it in because this guy's got a kid, it's with a kid. They do deal with some aspect of it.
What's the word? A head nod to it. Some kind of.
It's got a little. It's a little bit more than that, but it's not enough. Okay, because the tech and stuff, and the way they took the tech, they've got kind of these ISOs or whatever, that are AI characters, and you're like, okay, what? And the whole depiction of an arena with all these ISOs watching, and you're just like, in an arena. Who came up with this brilliant idea? This is nonsense. It's nonsense. Okay. So, how do we? There could have been a much more sophisticated way to represent that. By the people watching, us watching the film, are the people watching the arena. Instead of saying, "Oh, these are AI characters." No, it's us watching.
Are you rewriting a film again?
Yeah. But no, if we speak to the directors before they actually do the thing, they've got to go, that's an interesting idea. Okay, right, writers, guys, come on. Look, can you pull together a story that's actually much more like this?
Well, that raises an interesting question, doesn't it? I mean, how often are the consumers, are the people who inevitably sit and watch these things ever involved in the production of it?
Well, interestingly enough, people like Steve Jackson and I can't remember their names, and I should know their names. The two women that basically were involved in writing Lord of the Rings were obviously people who read Lord of the Rings.
Yes, but have they spoken to...
And they made Lord of the Rings film. No. So they did. They were the receivers.
Right.
The original books, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then they go ahead, well, look, this is my imagination, this is the script, and they produce collectively, and then a whole bunch of people, join in who love, obviously, the Lord of the Rings, and they're just being of service to these three, and just producing, well, this is, and he would just cycle it, that one. Because they're just giving him just like, oh, look at this. These are all the different ways that you could take this. And he's just trying to fit it into what he sees. And it's obviously a service. The actors, everybody was in service. This guy, he wasn't in charge, going nailing everybody down.
Okay, so it's a very different methodology.
Very different. Like we talked about composers. Right? And so that is an example where many years pass where people receive something and then they come back with something. So the next version will be games where you were immersed.
Right.
We're literally Lord of the Rings. Well, that. What do you think of this, Julie? We're in Lord of the Rings. Okay, and
would you still try and kill me in that?
quick!
Like the game.
Okay.
It never stops.
Yeah, but there will be no. But the point of the film, the point of that kind of production should be, as far as I can tell, if it's interesting, is that we play a game for a season.
Right.
Just like a TV series. And so at the end of the season, it's going to be the climax of whatever the world event is. Okay, but we're all party to it.
Right.
Yeah, and so we could end up, some of us being kings, some of us being, powerful players, and we might end up dead. But we'll watch the rest of the players.
I know how I'll end up dead.
No, of course you're going to be princess, yeah, or witch,
Oh, there we go.
do magic.
Witch or dad, according to you. That's the two options
I shall be Sauron. Yes. And so the point is, you play, and then you engage people, and then some people go, okay, you're more powerful than me, or you're actually capable of doing this thing, and so it's like Lord of the Rings, but we're actually all just kind of just characters, and the formation of the characters are happening in a more unrealistic state of growth than the film, because the films and the books kind of go, whatever the history is, this is the slice of time that we're looking at right now. These are the 9 characters of Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring.
So does this actually happen on a film set, or does this happen with a VR?
Yeah, VR game.
Yeah.
So if we can play around in that world, and we start off all kind of like, ready, steady, beginning this thing, everybody's watching,
Go.
right, and we're all playing with that, and of course some people go, oh, kill, wait, they're orcs. Okay. Other people go, okay, look, we have to band together.
That'll be me.
yeah.
That'll be
And then you kill by the orcs.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we have to go protect people. Oh, we have to protect. Oh, look, don't attack us. We can do it by kindness.
No, I'd come up with a strategy to circle you in.
Do what?
Encircle you and trap you in a valley.
Not me.
Well, just you.
No.
Or
Anyway,
orcs you belong to.
Millions of people playing this game, and there'll be some way to kind of accelerate certain processes so that people that end up in powerful positions, which would take normally, a lifetime to get to a powerful position. It would take a season to get into that powerful position. So every like week you play, and then there's some kind of acceleration of time. And it kind of exaggerates whatever skill role you've got, and then you find yourself, oh, I'm in this position.
I was going to say, it'd be very conducive, wouldn't it? You'd really want to keep playing.
Yes,
that feeling,
right, that's it, exactly.
That buzz you got from it.
And of course, if you die at the beginning, you might get, respawned. But the point is, it's more like watching a film.
I hope to, because I probably will die.
Well, we all do. But right now what's happening is that you get respawned, it's all dull. Or it's a constructive storyline, whereas I would like a much more open world where we are constructing the story. So at the end of it, there's a whole bunch of people attacking a whole bunch of other people or defending or something. People think that they're right. And it's not as obvious as these are the bad guys, they're orcs, and these are the good guys. Okay, they're right.
Oh, okay, so you kind of change the... Would you change... You'd have to have elements that make it still identifiable as Lord of the Rings or...
Oh, you see, it might not be Lord of the Rings, that's what I'm saying. So,
or whatever it was.
It could be.
You'd have to have some kind of signpost for somebody, wouldn't you? Or people that were taking part in it.
I don't know how many people want to be, I want to be an orc. It's like,
You'd have to have some components that were something like recognisable, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit. You could have variants on a tune. So you could have, they weren't called orcs, they're called something else.
I want to be a foot soldier. I'm going to stand there while they're having a conversation. A million people are watching. I'll just stand there like this. No. However, if there are only 10 people allowed in that room, and there's like 3 of them that are doing the chat, and there's a bunch of other people watching, and there's one or two guards that are standing there. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stand there because it's like, whoa, I'm in one of the 10 people in this freaking room that a billion people are watching. I'll be like, okay. I'll be listening in as well.
You should be occupying yourself, wouldn't you, for that experience?
Occupying myself.
Yeah, you just keep, like, 'cause it's not the most interesting.
It is. It'll be like everybody's watching. I'm this close to it. I'm actually in the room with them, virtually.
Yeah.
But then again, everybody else is outside the room virtually. Okay. Anyway, so I thought that that's the natural development if we let go of the control mechanisms of producing things and just delivering crap to people, and people are much more proactive in their involvement and participation. So like Tron with the game that we had is, you're on the grid. There's 7 other players or 5. It's a 6 versus 6. You've got 6. They've got 6. And within 2 minutes, one of you is going to win. The other one's going to lose. You die. Okay, and it starts again. Right, 6 versus 6. Woo, we're accelerating towards each other, and it's like boom, boom every 2 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. It is unbelievable. I love that game. Okay, but we're all participants.
You do.
We're all participants. Okay, and you can do a World Cup.
So you can all contribute.
We're all contributing, and we're all trying to win. And within a few hours, we find out the global leaders right now.
I was going to say, how do you
winning team?
How do you delineate between someone's, again, individual kind of desire, individual needs and wants, and then collective?
Team. If you've got a simple team and they're attacking you, like we're trying to outflank them, we have to accelerate, we have to link together. So there are mechanics that I have to do in order to play with other people. And if I do my bit and they do their bit and we all do our bit, we've won! We won! And that team element, playing together and getting the result, is like, wow. And then you just accelerate, you keep on going until eventually it's the finals. And everybody who has played is now watching.
Yes.
Because they want to find out, the people who beat them, how far did they get?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
Because there's a return financially too. Yeah, so even in the first round, if you got beaten by the eventual winners, you're going to make money. So that means it's to do with competition, but then going collaboration almost. You're like, they beat us. Well, we want to beat them, but they beat us. Okay, we want them to win.
So it's to do with time, and it's to do with creativity.
Yes.
Some kind of progression.
Yes. All right. In the game, it's 2 minutes. Okay. In a match, it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then for the entire championship globally, hours.
Wow.
So you could do a World Cup. You could do one every week, but I'd probably go for it. You put in £1 and you participate. But the whole methodology is you're a participant. So similarly with the VR goggles, it's not just sit there and get something to happen to you. You are actively involved, and if you can work together with a bunch of people, it's us against them, because it's kind of like fun. But once that happens, then it's all of us, and we're trying to do this, and we're all...
Would it be limited in number? So you could only have so many people participating this way at certain times, or would there be like different kind of games almost? So you could have...
Exactly. Okay, I don't know. So there's other games called Eve Online. They have splinters, and it's quite difficult to get the computing power to be able to do a completely open world where everybody can interact with absolutely everybody. All right. So what they do is they create little virtual kind of bubbles, and then there's certain numbers
That's
within
what I was thinking of. I wasn't aware of that, but that's what I just came
So it could be, for example, that they would do everybody is in within 100 people in the first episode, and you have to basically do whatever you do with 100 people, and then the ones that did well as a whole group, the next episode they're alive, but only maybe 1 or 2 players in ones that kind of failed would progress on, and they get together with another 1 or 2 that failed, but they were quite good at what they were doing in some sense, so they get to a new kind of scenario to play. And so there could be things like that. There is some kind of orchestration to it. But ideally for me, it eventually evolves into the situation where here it is, completely open, but there's certain dynamics that are occurring.
It's a live experience.
And it's a live experience, and here we go.
Experientially with other people.
Yeah, like, how'd you... Right, let's go and do this thing. And we get this idea, and we say, okay, here we go. And it's an open world, like the robots that are existing in this world. They're going like this, okay, pass me the pen, GitHub or whatever, get one. Oh, here's the pen, and then it picks it up. It doesn't know what a pen is. but because of language, because of something visual, something or other, it goes, oh, okay, here it is. Okay? And it doesn't, the world is there for it to exist in. So virtually there's a world that we can all exist in. And it's consistent. So it doesn't have to have all the kind of, there's nothing, there's gravity operating on this pen, there's certain rules operating, but there's no political thing that is operating beyond our participation. Yeah. Right. So similarly in that game, there's nothing beyond that, but there might be some evil, Sauron or something like that. Maybe, to make it more adventurous and exciting. If it was Lord of the Rings. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there was potential for that, and I haven't seen that kind of progression. And the reason why is because of money and how it constrains people to produce basically less
conventional, ordinary.
No, it produces conventional ordinary.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It
Sorry,
inhibits.
Yeah. So therefore it inhibits people doing things that are creative or risky or...
Yeah, because the baseline is people are delivering something. Just like with us teaching, we're delivering information to the kids. Rather than going, okay, look, there's some stuff here, but okay, let's have some fun. You exploring some things.
Well, the internet's exacerbated that, hasn't it? 'Cause it's all really about consumerism. The ability to consume loads of stuff through lots of channels. And it's worse than satellite TV now. I think everything you can stream and everything's, so immediate and so available.
But it's a lot more channels. Whereas before it was constrained. It was everybody's creating stuff. Everybody's creating their website, everybody's creating the thing, but then it becomes more commercialized.
Oh.
If that's what you mean. And so therefore now it's happening like commercialized by absolutely every possible angle. Yeah, that's a problem. However, it's a lot more than the few companies who are in control of 5 channels, or 10 channels, or 100 channels. It's not millions of channels, and anybody can just get a camera like this, start doing their thing, and oh look, millions of people are watching. Right, so we're on day 11, and the fires have burned down lots of houses in LA, so the environmental conditions occurring. There's somebody, for example, like Mel Gibson, saying his house is like Dresden, where he's producing the next version of Passion of the Christ.
For some of these people, it is awful, and I've got family that live in that area in particular, so, it is, it's always a concern when it's happened historically. It's a dreadful thing. Fire is destructive, end of. But some of the people, obviously like Mark Gibson, for example, I'd imagine have other homes in other places in the world.
Yeah, and it's got insurance and all this kind of stuff. Okay? Whereas other people in other parts of the world don't have anything. The house burns down, they wander about, they have no food, and then they have to, and then refugee camp people die, starvation, that goes on. Yeah, it's completely different
levels of...
That's right. And what we're interested in, well, how do we balance this out? So if there are floods, fires, various things in the world, there's enough, something to kind of help people out. Not because they've got the insurance and money and everything else. It's just because that's what we do.
We're human beings.
We're human beings. That's what we do. Oh, unfortunately, this happened. We'll come in, help you out. Look, please stay. Don't worry about it. And of course, we're attentive to the fact that we are preventing these things from happening because we're working well together. Because prevent the heating. But still, disasters are going to occur. Okay? And armies are not armies. They are mobilized gatherings of individuals to overcome incidents that occur throughout the world.
They've been used in crisis situations, haven't they? Because there aren't enough resources. They've brought in things. And also because sometimes people use situations in an inappropriate way. Exploit the situation, maybe. Right.
Whereas the military, their job is large numbers of people are going to move in, grab a whole bunch of people, take the logistics, organise, Look, we've got this place, space. Resources. You're going to stay in these spaces. Look, we've got beds. Bloody hell, wow, this military is really well organised. Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, so you can imagine that kind of service, taking part in that kind of service. Not to go to kill people, but basically to get this thing, so that when there are disasters, we are in there.
It's immediate.
We get it done.
I think also that element of fearless. How many people want to head towards a disaster? But it takes a special type of mentality and person to want to do that.
That's right. So So that's the way that if we're going to do the fiction about the military, that's the kind of thing. Involve some kind of natural disaster, and that's the repurposing of the military to do that. And so the evidence, so that'll be one of the story scenarios in the evolution of this character's development. It just sounds more interesting. Yeah. Right. But what I'm trying to suggest by talking about Mel Gibson films and everything else is that it's just individuals having experiences. And some of us have got levers that we can move around, like Mel Gibson, or artistic boards that to repurpose, or the entire this stupid narrative of Christ. I mean, that's unbelievable. Whereas, sadly, we buy the ticket. So we are disempowered. All we do is we go, oh, okay, watch it, don't like it, talk about it, chat about it, rather than be actively involved in it.
We don't participate in its creation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Or its distribution.
Or its fruition, or its...
Or the next
the
thing.
receivership of it. We were talking about that, weren't we, in cinemas, and kind of people scant use cinemas, but then even the people that are there, there's not that... We don't have that opportunity to exchange ideas necessarily, or people don't stay behind or talk before, or, it's kind of in, out, and that's it.
So what happens if, we were improving that, or if that world was in existence? And so when we talk about change makers, that's like people, like Jesus, okay, change maker, okay, that have devoted themselves to doing certain things, and we're just not quite engaging them well. I don't feel that we're engaging each other well enough.
Yeah, I think with people sometimes it's meeting where they're at, so it's where they're at in their particular journey. So, for example, if they're at the start of the journey and they're not sure what they're doing, or they don't know where to go or what to find, or they find a group and they join that group.
Are we talking about environmentalists, for example? We're just talking very abstractly.
Yes.
But yeah, again, because that's what I do. Both of us do this abstraction thing, and people go, what are they talking about? Mel Gibson, I got. Okay. What are they talking about the film thing? Okay, what's she talking about? I don't know, but it's like magic. It's like, why did you interrupt her? Because I was following her. Leave him alone! Leave her alone! That's what they're saying. Okay, but I do want to try and get a little specificity. So what were you thinking about? People getting together, grouping? Were you thinking about the environmental thing, or what? What were you actually thinking of?
What was I thinking of? I was thinking of the things that I've attended, which are more to do with, aren't they, sort of developing a better world, but we're all kind of in this together, something about community and a spiritual aspect to it, etc. I think sometimes at the beginning, some people at the beginning of that journey, and they don't really know which way they're going. Some people have found a group and they feel a part of that group, but that's it. It's that feeling of belonging that's enough for them. And then some people are making a step towards actual putting change in action, whatever that might be.
Creating groups. They also create groups, with new names, cults. Religions or companies, whatever you want to call them, groups of people gathered together with some kind of structure. But they're enthused.
And within each phase and kind of group of people that belong to that particular phase, there's almost some kind of way of, someone starting out is they're not very secure, they're not very sure, they're uncertain about things, they might get excited, but they might not, I don't know, almost engage very much because they don't really know. So they might try it, but it might be quite almost whimsical. And then someone that belongs to a group has that group with their set of shared values or ideas. They're almost ingrained in something. So it's kind of, where are people within that? And then how do you approach them, and how do you foster and nurture you nurture something from them that is different.
I'm gurning because it's like too difficult. And so what I suggest is come out of all those institutions. So that's the solution to it. Because if you're trying to create one, or you're trying to go in and help one, or anything like that, I'm telling you, it's a disaster. And so that's what she's found, Diana, since we're going to round this up at some point, is, here we are, good meaning people, look, we're doing this thing, here's a group, we're doing this thing, but there's pound, there's Bristol pound because it's happened over there at Devon, and there's happening over there at Brixton. It's happening. It's something happening. So there's a bunch of people, and we're trying to co-create this thing, and okay, it's working. Okay, we have to get some people to engage. Okay, organisations. Well, wait a minute, that's a bit trickier. Okay, so what's the stakeholders? Okay, so how do we translate that? Okay, well, okay, we can do this. It starts getting more complicated. And who do you know? And then a new person just turning on and saying, hello, I've got an alternative. They just go, no. We have to focus on doing this thing because we're really trying to do this thing in comparison to the machinery of councils and governments, and we need to, the commons, and it's about the commons. Yeah, I know it's about the commons, but no, like wait, we can't. We're doing this thing, and there are people on the inside, and there are people on the edges of a network, not even of a company or another that's got a discrete bounded entity, membership. And so both of those are just like nightmares, and the only way is come out, everybody, whether you're in a machine, institution, hierarchy, bounded financial thing, government, company, charity, whatever you want to call it, or you're in some kind of association, network, kind of feeling, kind of spiritual religion, spirituality, although that could be an institution. Or just like environmentalist. That can also be an organization, and just or family. Is that an institution? Is a family? Yes. Just come on. Here we are. Now,
just be present in a shared experience.
Right. Okay. Do you have to sign anything?
No. Has a sense of purpose. So.
Well, that's it. So, what's the purpose? Okay. I think it's here we are. What are we doing about it? And we need to go in that direction, i.e. stop that machinery and somehow or other deal with the environment. We need to engage well in order to live well. The environment can be sustainable or regenerative, in fact. But don't we have to join anything and agree on stuff? And I'm not convinced we do have to. I don't know. That's the experiment.
I think human beings tend to feel quite some sense of security from that, don't they?
Yes.
If they look for it.
Yeah. Somebody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So let's follow that person. That's not bad, but that's just relational. Okay? There should be any kind of boundedness to it. And if it is relational, you have to be very careful that person that everybody wants to kind of like follow, okay, doesn't get ahead of themselves and doesn't start going, I know exactly how all this works. And that's tricky. That's tricky. So being outside of these institutions is good, but how can you make sure it doesn't start recreating certain levels of disorder that we've seen socially throughout history?
So how to use that liberation, isn't it, wisely, in effect?
Yes. So I've suggested, let's see if that gives us enough collective power.
Gravitas?
For us to grow, but allows enough freedom that we are outside of the institutions. So it's not trying to create an institution. It's like the internet. The internet is everybody's connecting in, and the internet grows. It's not a fully distributed system, though. There are DNS. There are certain centers of directories that make it kind of centralized a bit. So people have been trying to create a proper decentralized internet. Similarly, can we, like blockchains, meant to be a decentralized system. So similarly, can we create a political, social, decentralized system that we can have our own cultures and tastes individually and personally, socially, relationally. We have the cultures and tastes, but the actual operating system is not favouring any group upon any other group.
So some kind of sense of, is that egalitarianism?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the things that throughout history, as a group of people have tried to say, we're into this, that, okay, but the thing that we're actually doing together is slightly different practices. It's not about, equality. Who cares about equality, right? Do this, and the result is equality.
Yes, that, actually happens.
Yes.
Such experience.
I think so. And then because of social validation, if it starts not, you go, okay, can we use these tools to make sure that this thing's starting to warp out of shape? Yes, these tools work. Look, we've managed to collectively, we are still egalitarian. Fantastic, well done. But if they don't, and certain things start going out of shape, and we can't do anything about it, there's something wrong with the tools. And it's that kind of, experimentation we need to do in every single classroom. Oh, ABC state. And so while that's meant to be happening in schools, because of our incredible reception to ABC class and classroom coordinators, can we get a bunch of adults to start operating like A state with us part of it? I don't know.
I think it's possible.
Well, we'll see. So when we engage people like Diana, I have to go, what an incredible person to be able to do those things. And many people that are doing incredible things, but we need to make use of the time that when we do meet. Because, you know, if you ever meet Mel Gibson, all right, you're going to have a little bit of time, and that'll be it. Or anybody famous. We don't have time to sit there and befriend famous people. They don't have time.
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say about the importance of it and about the uniqueness of it and about the limited period of time.
Huh?
I know what you're saying about the importance of it and the uniqueness of it and the limited period of time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And we need to do that with each other. We're not famous, but we need to bring that to ourselves.
That's with any human being.
But we're not quite doing it. Apart from, little baby, little children, little... I was like, okay. No, but as adults, are we bringing that? No. And people that are interested in changing the world, we need to bring that to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of respect. Okay, especially our age. We need to be going, right, you are an equal, yes? Okay, you've lived through your life, yes? Okay, and we're committed, yes.
Have experiences.
Have
experiences.
Yes. Okay, so one of the most important ones is, okay, at what point did you kind of like switch on to this? It's a very important question. Oh, when I was like 12. Okay, right, we have to listen to this person. What have you tried then? Yeah? Oh, I didn't do anything till I was 72. Oh, right. Okay, but at least you switched on to it when you were 12.
Yeah.
That's good.
Simple.
But if somebody switched on to it at 12 and they spent their entire lives trying to deal with it, you have to go, we have to give them a bit of respect. Yeah. Okay, how did you fail? And then if they were generous with that, then we've got a talking point. But if they go, oh yeah, we did this works. Well, it's not working so far, so you know. So it's not about success. It's about what did you try, how did you fail, and what can we learn from that collectively.
How does it help?
That does help.
How does it help people?
And then go, okay, so based on that, say, okay, what is the solution set potentially? Well, let's try this. And we need to try something, get the social validation. And if you get social validation, you go, this works. And you move on from there. Iterative social validation. And we didn't get it today with Diana. We went all the way there. I felt it when I met her online, and I was quite happy with her. She was quite happy with me, I think. So there was validation between the two of us. But when we got together in the real world, is that multiplied? Did we get deeper? No. Do we acknowledge each other's commitment? No. It was just objective thought, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it was another nice conversation with a nice person about different things, a variety of things.
Yes, even though they're committed, and she's been living her life, you know, you're like, so it's times like those that's where we need to bring ourselves and go, you know, influence each other and find out what's the right way to go forwards here. I don't think it's done privately. I think it's done in those meetings. And we are really confrontational about what's the way forward. I think it's this. I think it's that. That is part of this system. It's going to do that. Isn't that what you've experienced? And they go, oh yeah. We haven't tried this. Have we tried this? No, we haven't tried this. Can we try that?
You know, when you talk about influence, do you see it in terms of balances in some way as well, or do you just see it as in terms of influence as in impact, persuasion?
What you're talking about when we meet, just in person. Because impact is quite quick, and influence takes a bit of time, let's say. See, I'm into, you know, rapid interventions. I want change now. And that's where, you know, transformations. Whereas there are certain things that take a bit longer, slower, for sure. But the only way I think those will happen is if you have experience. You have to do the different thing, and then slowly over experience, you change. But without doing that little jump of a different thing, I don't think anything changes. So I think there is a lot of room for transformation
That's
in the
like a
meetings we have.
kickstart almost.
Yes, and the kickstart is we're making use of the fact that we're meeting in person. We need to leave going, I don't want 7,000 people, putting litter in the right bin things. I don't want to know that. I want to know that I met somebody that is absolutely here. We're doing it. It's a level of commitment. Like, wow. No matter how despondent I might feel, what if the state of the world is things burning down and various other things happen with wars, I go, but at least I know a few people that are really like on it.
Switched on.
Yeah, and it's us, really.
Going forwards.
Yeah, I would try to do this thing and see what the result is. And that's not quite happening, I feel. So there are so many things that we need to learn and experiment with, and instead most of it is just talking. Therefore, we're not really learning much, unless we transform the medium.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of saying, weren't we, that the people we've spoken to enjoy talking and are intelligent, so intelligent talkers. And in the main, have been good listeners, I would say.
Some are better than others,
very
for sure.
receptive.
Yeah. But the trick is, what do we do? Apart from, yes, we put the focus on the listening. Yes, okay, but what's the action beyond that? And we failed today because we didn't have that set up. Yeah.
I think I have been in the past 5 months consciously in that kind of frame of mind when I'm engaging someone who I'm seeking to collaborate going forwards with something in particular. So say, for example, meeting with somebody who's...
For example, we're not going to actually get a specific example. We're just going to get a general example.
Someone who's interested in writers and readers.
Okay.
And then we talk about your book Fulcrum and that kind of thing. And then within that, a certain period of time and a certain purpose and a certain reciprocality and a certain framework and a certain approach and all those things kind of come into play. And it's not, I don't see it as a business, I think it's a relationship, and I see it as an exchange of ideas, because you need to have that before anything actually happens. And maybe there's elements of that can be brought into these situations as well. Yeah,
so we're meant to be, we are, but we've missed it for a bit now, the books that we're writing. But there's also the idea of writing a script of the dialogue that one's going to have with somebody, which is a bit odd for somebody to receive a dialogue that has them in it. You know, what? It's kind of like, is this scripted? Is this what I'm meant to say? No, but it's an invitation to something. So I don't know. There's things like that could be interesting.
That could be interesting to see how that evolves.
Yeah.
What happens with that.
That's right. So rather than here's my information, it's like here's our dialogue before we've had it. Here's my dialogue before we have it.
That's very different.
Yeah. Something like that. So that when we come together, it is not scripted and we are writing it as we're talking. For us to realise this is part of history.
Oh, okay. So so the script that they'd have seen of the 2 people, or 3 people, 4 people, how many people it is, wouldn't be the script they actually use with each other, but they would go from that point where it ends to create to...
Which script do we like the best? You know? Do you like this one where we're all happier and we're all going forwards, and we're like, or this one where we kind of argued a lot and at the end of it, it's like, what was the point of that? Yeah. Okay, something like that. There's something about getting rid of the scripts, but we have to kind of make it obvious that we are following scripts and we're not quite bringing the best out of our engagements together. And especially from people who are committed.
It's nice,
we are not going to be meeting
it's
somebody
decent, and it's fine, as in, you know, You go away with that kind of, it's nice to meet you, and it's all very polite.
Good.
It's all very,
Yes.
yeah, it's all good.
Good.
Got lots of kind of a list of good people with good intentions.
Good.
But yeah, to have something more meaningful and more progressive and more with more of a result.
We need to get that. We need to get the social result. If we don't have the social result, I just sit there and just go, guys, it's just chat. So, day 11, and what have we produced? Oh, wait a minute. Two of us yabbing away. So, we're going to have to produce some, well, you are going to finally finish with all the, tire chains, and various other things that need to go in a car, all right, to forgetting about all that and actually focusing on, waking up in the morning and going, oh, I thought of something. Oh, really? Okay, great. Okay, write about it. Do something, and then have some kind of output that actually people can participate in and experience in. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you started with that?
No.
Poop! Okay,
I'm
so...
getting up early in the morning.
Wait. Day 11. How many days do you think we have?
Oh, no. Every time you say that and then you give me some kind of percentage, it makes me feel a little bit sad.
Yeah, it's about 10%.
Because time is going so quickly.
No, it's not 10%.
Time goes very quickly.
No,
and
it's
the
not
opportunity
10%.
goes.
10% would be about a month. So it's 1%. It's 1%. That's about 1%.
It's almost a month. We're heading towards the end of the month. Rapidly.
No, it's 3%. 10 days, so about 3 days is about 1%. So it's about 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so don't
Huge
waste it,
amount.
folks. Okay, it is a huge amount. It's not about getting stressed out with it. It's just a matter of going,
Recognising it.
because the last
Doing something
3%,
with it.
in a food, your last spoonful, you're like, woohoo! And the first one, you're like, oh, wow. And then it's like, in the middle, you kind of, oh, slop. And then you're going, oh, wait a minute, there's only a couple of, the last one is so good. Now, we've started, and our first kind of things are not like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Okay. It's a bit more like, what's this? Okay, well, are we going to make some food? We haven't even started properly. Day 11 of the year, everything changed. We haven't really done a huge amount apart from getting tire chains for the car and other things. But anyway, it's for people to evaluate. Go, oh, well done about the car chains.
AI story. Worked on that.
What, in this yab?
Not in this, yeah, no, very true.
No, we've talked about a couple of things that kind of give us a little bit more of a frame.
Not today, yes.
No, we have talked literally during this
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
to go, okay,
Yeah.
keep these things in mind.
Yes.
And we get a transcript of this and pull out the bits that are important, maybe, or just our memories. Okay, the point is you are allowed to contribute in your own mind to anything that pops into your mind, as everybody else.
A missed opportunity today.
I think so.
And then the second missed opportunity was a conversation we had driving down. We should have recorded that.
Why? What was that bit?
Universities and knowledge and questioning and...
God. Another day. Oh, you should do that in one of your little podcasts. All right. Day 11. I hope you're doing well out there. Be well.